There's water in our bodies, it's refreshing to drink a glass of wonderful water from your kitchen sink.
Hello everybody, hello children, welcome to today's online field trip. I'm Sam and this is Tracy from Thames Water, and Tracy's going to teach us everything we need to know about wonderful water today. Thank you so much for joining us, Tracy.
It's a pleasure. Lovely to be here.
So today we're here in Oxfordshire, which is in the south of England. It's an amazing part of the country, and it's actually very, very windy here today, isn't it, Tracy?
It is very windy here today, that's for sure.
We should get a sailing boat out later, shouldn't we, really? There's quite a few behind us, but there's no one giving it a go today.
No, not today. Maybe just a bit windy.
So as you can see, we've got a beautiful reservoir which is brimming full of wildlife behind us. When I say reservoir, Tracy, what do I mean?
Basically, a reservoir is a man-made storage area for water.
Great stuff, and it's actually a vast amount of water, isn't it? How big is it behind us?
There are approximately 13,000 million litres of water in the reservoirs here.
Wow.
So it's a lot of water.
We can't really see from here, so let's take a look at some aerial footage of the reservoir and we can see just how big this space of water is. How amazing is that?
It's huge. From the air you can really see how big the site here is. There's two reservoirs, as I said, in total 13,000 million litres of water, and they're really quite deep as well, 30 feet deep each, which is about as tall as two double-decker buses. So as well as being very wide, they're also very deep.
That is amazing. Gosh, you would not want to fall in there, would you, Tracy?
Definitely.
You want to make sure you could swim.
Definitely not a place to fall into.
So water's really important to us, isn't it, Tracy? Am I right in thinking most of our body is made up of water?
That's right, exactly. Our bodies are made up of about 70% water. So water is absolutely vital for us to be able to function every single day.
And it's important for our bodies, but it's important for the planet as well, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Every living thing on Earth needs water to survive, so water is crucial to the survival of everything on planet Earth.
Great stuff. So what are we going to learn here today at the reservoir?
Well, hopefully what we're going to learn today is we're going to be talking a little bit about the water cycle, which all of the children watching will know a little bit about too. We're going to be talking about why water is important for health, and we'll also be talking about some of the processes that Thames Water undertake to treat your water and make sure that it's clean and safe for you to drink.
Great, so really the whole process.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, let's meet who we have taking part today. Let's go over to our schools. Our first school is Collerton Primary School in Twyford. We've got Miss Evely's class taking part there. Hello, children. Really great to have you all taking part with us today. Let's go to Christchurch Primary School now in Ilford, where we've got Mr. Winksworth's class taking part. Hello, children. Great to have you all learning about water with us today. Let's go to Larchwood Primary now in Brentwood, where Miss Poll's class is taking part. Hello, children. Great stuff. And finally, let's go over to Brunswick House in Maidstone, where Miss Hawk's class is taking part. Hello, children. Great stuff. We have got a lively bunch with us today, Tracy.
Yep, looks like it.
All eager to learn about water. So first of all, Tracy, this water's stored behind us here so that when we turn our tap on, we can get a nice, clean, fresh glass of water that's good for us. But why do we drink water?
Well, water is really important for all of our bodies to function in a normal way. So all of our organs, our heart, our lungs, our liver, and our brain particularly are made up of so much water. It's really important that we drink plenty of water every day to make sure that all of those organs work the way that they need to.
And water's really important on a hot day as well, isn't it? Because when we get hot, we sweat and the water on our skin helps us to cool down, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not very warm here today, but when the summer comes, it's really, really important to make sure you drink enough water because, as you say, water helps us to remain cool when it's hot, and the sweat that we produce when we're hot keeps us nice and cool, and we need to make sure that we replace that water that we're sweating out, so really important.
And talking of sweating, then when we get hot and a bit smelly, we need to get a bath or a shower, don't we? So we need to wash ourselves, and we use water to do just that. So it is very important.
Absolutely, completely crucial part of your day.
Oh, great stuff. Well, children, I know you've already been learning about water as well and using all the online resources that we have on the website. So Tracy, I think we should find out before we tell them any more about water, what they already know.
Yes, let's find out.
Let's go over to Collerton Primary now to find out what you already know about water. So if we can have some of the children from Miss Evely's class to stand up and tell us what you already know.
Did you know that rich countries use 10 times as more water than poor countries?
Great stuff. So Sonia just told us that rich countries use 10 times as much water as poor countries. Is that true, Tracy?
It is, yes. We're very lucky in this country that we do have a good supply of clean, fresh water to use every day. And I think we do tend to use quite a lot more of it because we take it for granted, and the tap turns on and out it comes. So that's definitely a really good point to pick up on. Good point.
Oh, fantastic. Let's get another fact.
Before water is treated, large debris such as leaves and twigs are
filtered out. Are removed by intake screens.
Great. Oh, that's a really good fact. So before the water is treated, the larger debris like twigs and leaves are moved and taken away by intake screens. Is that right, Tracy?
That's exactly right. Spot on. Yes, we remove all the large items from the water that we take from the river to make sure all the twigs and grit and anything else, large items, leaves, are all taken out before it goes through our processes. So excellent. Good point.
Great stuff. Really, really good point, Matthew. Let's get one last fact now. Let's go back over to Collerton School.
There is more water in our bodies than our organs, blood and muscles put together because 2/3 of our bodies is water.
This is a really great fact. I think that was Annabelle. Well done, Annabelle. So there's more water in our bodies than the organs and blood and muscles put together because our bodies are made up of 2/3 of water, Tracy.
Absolutely right. And this is why it's so important to make sure you drink plenty of water every day to keep your organs and your body functioning really well.
Fantastic. Great facts, children. So Tracy, talking about drinking lots of water, does it have to be plain water? What about fizzy pop or fruit juice? Does that have the same effect?
Well, generally speaking, if you're taking on liquid of any kind, it's good to it will keep your body hydrated, so it will keep you going. But water's really the best drink to take on board, partly because fruit juices and fizzy pop, they contain an awful lot of sugar. So as well as not being very good for your teeth, they can cause you to put on weight. And generally, water is better absorbed by the body and your organs. So if you've got your water bottle and you want to fill it with something, definitely just turn on the tap.
Thanks for that tip, Tracy. And of course, drinking a glass of water or having a water bottle is one way of getting water, but we do get it from food, and in particular fruit and vegetables as well, and we have some of them here, don't we?
We certainly do, yes. A surprising amount of the water that you can take on each day can come from the food that you eat. So what we've got here is we've got some vegetables with a high water content. We've got some spinach, cucumber, some celery, broccoli, tomatoes, and down here we've got some potatoes as well. And as well as that, there's the fruit, of course, as well. So we've got some grapefruit, melon, and some grapes as well. And they all contain plenty of water.
Great stuff. So when our mums and dads say, make sure you're eating fruit and veg, they know why, don't they, really?
They're good for you and they've got water in them, so perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, we're learning lots and lots about water already. I think there's an opportunity now to get some questions for you, Tracy.
Okay.
So let's go over to Collerton School again and see if we have any questions for Tracy, all about water.
Is water from the tap the same as water from a bottle?
Okay, so Tracy, is water from the tap the same as water from the bottle?
Well, water from a tap is water that we at Thames Water have taken from rivers and reservoirs and then treated so that we send it to your house in the pipes. And then when you turn the tap on, out it comes. So bottled water is a little bit different because that will often come from a natural spring where water has been underground and it won't be treated in the same way. So there's a little bit of difference between the two.
Great stuff. That's a really great question. Tibble, I think, was the person that asked that one. Let's go over again and get another question from Connaughton Primary.
How does water stay clean in the taps?
That's a really good question. So how does water stay clean in the tap, Tracy?
Well, the water stays clean right the way to the point where you turn your tap on, because while we're treating it, we make sure that we put enough chlorine in it so that by the time it gets to your house, it's still clean and very safe to drink.
Lovely, great questions. Let's get some questions now from Christchurch Primary School. Who do we have there, Mr. Winkworth?
We've got Adam first. Go on, Adam.
How much water is there in the world?
That's a really great question, Adam. Let me find out from Tracy. So Tracy, how much water is there in the world?
Well, there's an awful lot of water in the world. In fact, our planet is covered by a huge number of oceans. About 70% of the Earth is covered in water. But not all of that water we can drink, of course. Most of it is salty ocean water. In total, in the world, about 2% of water is fresh, which means that's what we can use to drink. So a lot of water on the planet, not a lot we can use to drink though.
2%, I never knew that. That's such a small percentage, but it's obviously got enough to drink, which is great. Let's get one last question from Christchurch Primary School.
What will happen if you drink too much water?
That's a great question. I think that's Mona. Mona wants to know what would happen if you drink too much water.
Well, it's pretty difficult to drink too much water. You'd probably get a really quite full tummy and probably jump up and down and make lots of gurgling noises. But generally speaking, it's really difficult to drink too much. We would just say make sure you drink when you're thirsty. Don't leave it till the point where you're really thirsty. Make sure you keep drinking all day.
Fantastic. Thanks for those tips, Tracy, and great questions, children. And don't worry, Larchwood Primary and Brunswick House, you can have an opportunity to ask Tracy some questions later on in this online field trip. It's time now for a very short video, and this will tell you more about why water is so important to us.
Water on planet Earth. Water is so important that everything that has ever lived has needed it to survive. Without it, none of the plants or animals found here on planet Earth would ever have come into existence, including us. Water is what we call finite. This means that there is only a certain amount of it, and it is very difficult for us to lose it or make any more. And all of this water has been around for a very long time. In fact, the water we drink today might have once been drunk by a dinosaur. There is a lot of water on Earth. It covers 70% of the planet's surface. But most of it is salty and found in the oceans and seas. Fresh water makes up only 3% of all the water we have, and most of this is locked in polar ice caps and not available for us to use. This makes clean, drinkable water a very precious resource. Water moves between liquid, gas, and solid states in a process we call the water cycle. As a liquid, water forms rivers, lakes, seas, and vast oceans. This liquid is evaporated by the sun. As the water warms up from the heat of the sun, it transforms into gas, which is usually known as water vapour. Water vapour is what clouds are made of. When the clouds get colder, the water vapour turns back into liquid and falls as rain. When the weather turns very cold, the water will fall in a solid state, as snow or hail. This is because at temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius, water freezes and becomes solid. Water has moved between liquid, gas and solid states for billions of years, which is a very long time indeed.
Welcome back, children. We hope you enjoyed that. And as you can see, we're right on the edge of the water now. We're actually on something called a pontoon, which is where all the boats are tied to, and you can actually walk along it. It's quite rocky, but we do feel like we're in the middle of it now, don't we, Tracy? We just hope the water doesn't get too rough.
No, let's hope not.
That last video we saw was so interesting. It's really fascinating to think that the water that we drink now could have been drunk by dinosaurs thousands of years ago.
Absolutely. The amount of fresh water on Earth is the same amount now as it was when the Earth was created. So yes, the water cycle is a continual cycle. So absolutely right. Yeah.
So as you said, no new water gets made, of course. So all this water has been here way before us and since time began.
It has indeed. That's exactly right.
Now the water around us looks actually fairly clean because it's in the reservoir, but could we drink this now?
No, you wouldn't be able to drink the water out of the reservoir as it is today. We store the water in the reservoir and then we take it to one of our water treatment works and treat it there through a different set of filtration processes. And what I've got here in my hands is actually a little experiment which gives you some idea about how we filter the water when it comes from the river or the reservoir. So you can see here we've got some water being poured into a mixture of sand and gravel and some filter paper, which replicates the process that we use on one of our water treatment works to filter the water and make sure it's as clean as it can be. And you'll notice that the water that's very slowly dripping through at the bottom there, it's quite a slow process, looks a little bit cleaner than the water that's currently sitting in the cup above.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot cleaner. That's very cloudy up there. And this does look like there's a bit of sand at the bottom, but water that would come from your tap. So could we drink that now, Tracy, now it's been through this filtration process?
No, I'm afraid not. You still wouldn't want to drink that water because as much as we can get rid of some of the more visible bits in the water and get rid of some of the murk and the mud, there's still some hidden microorganisms, some hidden bacteria in there that we would need to make sure we treat. And that's where we introduce chlorine to make sure that we kill off all of those hidden bugs.
Oh, wow. So the children at home, I'm sure, and in their classrooms are thinking, chlorine, I know that word. Perhaps when they've been swimming, that makes their skin smell. Is it the same thing, obviously?
It absolutely is, yes. It's the same chemical. And we introduce chlorine into the water for the same reason that your swimming pools use chlorine, to make sure that any of the bugs in the water are completely killed off and the water is therefore safe in the swimming pool to swim in and for you to draw from your taps, safe to drink.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see this process in action in a short video in a minute or so. We'll see the treatment works, the huge treatment works that take place here. But I think now again, Tracy, it's time to get the other schools to ask you some questions because we are learning so much.
Okay.
So let's go over to Larchwood Primary School now to see if Miss Poll's class has any questions.
How does water get into the rain clouds?
That's a really great question. That's a question from Fisher. He wants to know, how does water get into the rain clouds?
Well, getting water from into the rain clouds is all part of the water cycle. So the sun warms the water from the rivers and the reservoirs, and the water evaporates and turns into vapour. It then, once it gets high up in the sky, it condenses and turns into clouds. And when the clouds become heavy and increasingly heavier with water, it then causes precipitation, and that can be rain or sleet or snow.
Fantastic. We're hoping it doesn't rain because it did rain earlier here, and if it does rain, we're going to get soaked.
We are.
We're keeping everything
Fingers
crossed.
crossed.
That's a really great question. Let's get another question from Larchwood Primary now.
Why is water good for us?
Oh, that's a really good question. So why is water so good for us?
Well, water's so good for you because it's a really natural product. And of course, as we've already talked about, it's really important because water is so much a part of our human bodies and so much a part of planet Earth. It's really important to make sure that we drink plenty to keep ourselves healthy and hydrated and functioning properly.
There really isn't a bad thing about drinking water, is there, Tracy?
No, it's the best drink that's out there.
No, great questions. Let's go over to Bromswick House now to see if Miss Hawk's class have any questions.
What is the difference between mineral water and still water?
That's a really good question, Sanu. So what's the difference between mineral water and normal still water from the tap?
Well, the still water that you get from the tap has obviously been taken from a river or reservoir, and then we've treated that and sent it to you in your homes through our network of pipes. Mineral water is generally found in a particular location, and it's usually underground water, and then it's usually bottled right from that particular source. So again, slightly different way of getting hold of that water and getting it to you.
Really great question and great answer as well, Tracy. Let's get One last question from Brunswick House now.
Why are there diseases in dirty water?
That's a really good question. So why are there diseases in dirty water, Tracy?
Well, simply put, the reason why dirty water contains diseases is because it contains poo. And there are some horrible bacteria in poo. And so therefore, if you drink dirty water that's been contaminated with human waste or poo, then it's going to make you pretty ill. So that's the reason why.
So we steer clear of that water.
We do.
Yeah. Great questions, children. It's time for another short video now, and this is more about water and why we need it, both before we use it and afterwards too. We'll see you in a minute.
Why do we need water? You could survive for about a month without food, but only for around 1 week without water. Around 50 to 70% of our bodies are made up of water. There are lots of things our bodies use this water for. It forms saliva in our mouths, which aids digestion. It lubricates our joints so we can move easily. And it's a vital part of our blood, which carries the oxygen and nutrients we use to where they're needed in our bodies. Water also helps to regulate our body temperature through sweat. So it's really important to drink plenty to replenish all of the water we use in our bodies. All around the world, people access the drinking water they need to survive in many different ways. In some countries, people have built their houses around a well, so they can pull water up from deep under the ground. In other countries, families might share a water pump with other nearby households. There are also parts of the world where fresh water is very scarce, and in these places, people have to walk miles every day to find a water source. Here in the United Kingdom, we are extremely lucky to be able to turn on our taps to get fresh, clean water. And it is very important that we only drink fresh, clean water, otherwise we could get very ill. Our tap water has been very carefully treated so that we can be sure it is good for us to drink and wash ourselves with. This water starts its journey by being pumped from our rivers or reservoirs where it's collected to a treatment centre like this one, where it is thoroughly cleaned. Here at the treatment centre, the water goes through different filters and treatments to make sure it's completely free of any microscopic bugs that might make us ill. Then the water is ready to be pumped to our taps. This isn't the end of the water's journey though. Once we have used the water and flushed it down the drain or the toilet, we then need to clean it again before we can return it back to nature. This is so we don't pollute our rivers and streams. So working hard for us, hidden away under our feet, there is a network of pipes carrying all the water we've used to a sewage treatment works. Once there, the dirty water is thoroughly cleaned again, and all the waste that has been flushed away is carefully removed. The water is then once more returned to rivers and streams, where it flows off to continue its journey through the water cycle.
Welcome back, children. We hope you found that interesting. So, Tracy, there's a lot of sludge that comes out of that water. What happens to the sludge?
Well, what happens to the sludge is we take it away, we take it from the liquid part of the wastewater, and we put it into what we call large digesters, which is very similar to the digestion process that goes on in your tummy. So we heat the digesters to body temperature, which is about 37 degrees. And what then happens is all the good bacteria in the sludge starts to multiply and eat the bad bacteria, making the sludge safe. We then move it to a drying house, and there we take out all the remaining liquid from the sludge. And our final product, which we call cake, looks a little bit like this.
I thought you were going to pull out some chocolate cake then, Tracy. It doesn't look like normal cake to me.
No, not the type of cake we'd suggest you eat. That's just the term we call it. And the cake is then taken away from our sites and used by farmers as a fertiliser on their land for their crops.
Wow, so everything is used in the whole process then?
It absolutely is, yes indeed.
That's amazing. And you've got a different type of sludge to show us as well, haven't you?
Absolutely. So from what you've seen there on the video, before we dry the sludge, we actually separate the solid from the liquid. And as you can see here in this bottle, we've got some sludge here which has settled. So you can see how the solids separate from the liquid so that we can take away the solids and create our cake and take away the liquid part and then treat that and make sure that it's absolutely safe to go back into the river.
Fantastic. So eventually when that settles, that water will be treated and we will be drinking it out of our taps.
That's right. Once it's gone back to the river, we then take it back out of the river and treat it and send it to your taps.
Great stuff. It's not just the water we have to worry about though, is it, Tracy? As well, it's the tissue that we put down the toilet.
It is, yes. Lots of people think that it's okay to put lots of things down the toilets. And actually, really, at Thames Water, we have what we call the 3 Ps motto. And really, the only things that should go down the toilet are pee, poo, and toilet paper. Nothing else, please. So really, those 3 things only. And I'll give you an idea about why that is, Sam, because toilet paper is different to other items that go down the toilet. And I'll just give you a little bit of an idea about how different it actually is. So what we've got here is 2 bottles. This one here contains some toilet roll, and this one here contains a wet wipe. And we do get an awful lot of wet wipes that people put down our toilets into the system. So this is going to give you a good idea about why toilet paper is okay in the toilet and why wet wipes aren't. So give it a bit of a shake there. You can see here that the bottle with the toilet paper in it, having been given a good shake, the toilet roll has all broken up or biodegraded in the water. That means it's easy for us to treat at one of our sewage treatment works. This bottle here contains the wet wipe, and although it's gone a little bit soapy, you can see the wet wipe is fully intact. It's all still in one piece. And that causes a problem when it attaches to the sides of our sewage pipes, and it can cause blockages. They're not nice. So please don't put anything other than pee, poo and paper down your toilets.
3 Ps, that's so easy to remember, isn't it?
Well, we hope so.
So easy to remember. Now, Tracy, we've learnt how important water is to both us and to the planet, and we've also found out how much time and effort goes into making sure we have nice clean water in our taps whenever we turn our taps on. So how can we save water? How can we do our bit?
Well, we've already talked about the fact that there's only so much water on planet Earth, so it's really important that we all try and use water wisely and think very carefully about how we're using it and don't waste it. We're not saying don't drink water. Water, as we've already talked about, really important to keep you healthy. But I like to think there are several easy ways that you can make a difference and make sure that you use water wisely. The first is really simple. Turn off the tap while you're brushing your teeth. It doesn't change the way you brush your teeth, it just means that you're not watching the water go all the way down the drain. Second thing, if you like a cold water to drink, try keeping a jug of water in the fridge so that when you need a drink, it's nice and cold and you don't have to run the tap to make the water feel a bit colder. And the third thing, we talked about keeping nice and clean, definitely, but do try and take a shower instead of a bath. It uses much less water and is much quicker as well, so you can be in and out nice and quickly.
Fantastic. What great tips, children, there, and hopefully you'll be using some of them as well. I think many of us just turn the tap on when we're brushing our teeth and don't think about all the water we're using. But Tracy, the good news is that all the children taking part today have been very, very good at saving water this week, and they've been turning the taps off every time they're cleaning their teeth.
Oh, fantastic.
And they have completed their very own Turn That Tap Off challenge.
Wonderful.
So well done, children, to everybody who's taken part. I can tell you now, we have the results of the water that you have saved as a result of turning your taps on. Just when you clean your teeth, you have saved a whopping 8,624 litres of water. That's the equivalent of 108 bathtubs full of water, Tracy.
That's absolutely fantastic. What an amazing effort. That is brilliant. Imagine how much water you'll all save over the next month and the next year if you keep turning the taps off. while you're brushing your teeth. That's
yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, well done, children. Please do keep up the good work as well and keep saving water. Right, we're almost out of time on this online field trip. There's just enough time to head to all of our schools and find out what you've learned on today's online field trip. So let's head over to the Colinton Primary now and see what Miss Evely's class have learned today.
So would anyone like to say something they've learned today? Okay, let's have Morgan. Let's come up.
I have learnt to not use wet wipes and flush them down the toilet.
Fantastic. So that class has learned not to use wet wipes and put them down the toilet trays. It's really important to put them in the bin.
Absolutely, please put them in the bin.
Great stuff. Let's go to Christchurch Primary School now to see what you've learned. Who do we have there, Mr. Winkworth?
We've got Gotham, who's going to explain what he's learned and his favourite fact.
I've learnt the lake behind you has 30,000 million litres of water and it is 30 metres deep, which is as deep as 2 double-decker buses. And my favourite fact is only put the three P's, pee, poo and toilet paper down the toilet.
Oh,
excellent.
Fantastic stuff. Great learning, children. Let's go to Larchwood Primary School now to see what Miss Pol's class has learned.
That our bodies are mostly made of water, so we need to drink it and keep us healthy.
Great stuff. So they've learned that our body is mostly made up of water, so it's very important to drink it.
Absolutely. Do make sure you take on plenty of water during the day to keep yourself healthy.
Great stuff. Let's go over to our last school. Let's go to Brunswick House in Maidstone to see what Miss Hawkes' class has learnt today.
Okay, this is Erin. She's going to tell us what we've learnt today.
The water we drink today might once have been drunk by dinosaurs.
Oh, this is one of my favourite facts as well. So the water we drink today may have been drunk by dinosaurs, Tracy.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Or someone famous.
Or someone famous.
Someone famous like William Shakespeare. That might be good. Or a king or a
King
queen.
Henry VIII.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Great stuff. Great learning, children, as well. Thank you so much, Tracy. Just one last question for you. What's your favourite thing about working with water?
I think that my favourite thing about working with water is the fact that it is so essential to every living thing on this planet, and especially us as human beings. So actually what we do at Thames Water is vital for everybody every single day.
Yeah, you do a great job. Keep it up, Tracy.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
And thank you so much for taking part, children. We've really had fun learning all about water. If you'd like to take part in our next one, that'll be on the 23rd of April, and we'll be up in Scotland learning all about salmon. Everything you need to know is on the website, so get involved with that. Also, if you'd like to take part in a Farm to Fork school field trip, everything you need to know to take part in that is also on the website as well, and it really is lots and lots of fun. Just like the children you can see on screen right now, just getting really involved and just rolling their sleeves up and finding out how things are made and how things are grown. So do get involved in that one as well. But from myself and Tracy, in a very, very windy Oxfordshire, should we go sailing or maybe some windsurfing now, Tracy?
Windsurfing maybe, yeah, that would be a good one.
It's goodbye. Goodbye, children. Bye. Goodbye to Colinton Primary. Bye-bye. Goodbye, Christchurch Primary School. Goodbye, Larchwood Primary. And goodbye, Brunswick House.